something's gonna happen.
For you, what would you say has been a big shift for you?
Since the beginning of the year, all these things have happened for you and I. Everything just started happening like immediately.
Something has shifted in my timeline.
Yeah, something's gonna go down. What's up? Welcome back.
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy, howdy. We back with season 2 of Gemini Soulcast. I'm your host, Sin.
And I'm your host, Rob. My goodness, it's been such a long time since we've actually recorded an episode. We missed you guys, so thank you for tuning in. Sin, it's crazy because it's already April.
I can't believe it's April. I can't believe it. Like,
when we last had recorded our episode, it was the end of 2024.
Yeah.
We had scheduled to start recording around like February-ish.
Around February. But life be lifing.
Life be lifing. A lot of life has come and passed, I would say.
Yeah. There's been a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
A lot of revelations. A lot of clarity. A lot of lessons.
You're looking at me like... Lessons.
I have to be more spontaneous, like my good friend Rob here. I need to be more spontaneous. Just book a trip and go the next day.
So the story behind that was I have a full-time job, and I knew that my dad was going to go to China for about a week already, but at the time I was like, well, there's no way I could join him because I have a full-time job. I can't just request days off a week in advance. But then, like, the day before he was supposed to go on this trip, I was like, you know, it'd be fun, Dad. Like, what if I just joined you on this trip? And usually he's like, oh, no, you got to go to work, everything like that. But this time around, he was like, oh, are you sure? Do you want to come on this trip? Let me just look at the flights real quick. And there's one ticket left.
Wow.
For this one particular flight. I was going to join him on the flight, but there was this one ticket. So he's like, it's up to you.
There was really one ticket left?
There's one ticket left, yeah. My mom was like, this is so stupid. It's ridiculous. Like, you don't need to go all the way to China. But the reason why I wanted to go was because my dad was going to go to his grandparents' hometown where their grave is, you know, where they're buried at. And I just feel like it would be such a cool experience for them to see not only their grandson pay them a visit after so many years, but to see their great-grandson come pay them a visit at their tomb for the first time.
That is so freaking cool, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
I love that. It's goals, y'all. Goals.
Yeah. For me, it was more of like a spiritual, symbolic thing that I wanted to do. And so I was like, Dad, I know this is so crazy. Even as I was walking with him outside, I was like, this is so crazy. Am I really going to do this? Although if anybody were to do this in this family, it would be me. And my dad was like, yeah, it definitely would be you. So make a decision. Do you want to come with me or not? I said, all right, let's book this ticket. And I booked it. And then the next day I started packing. I had to call my boss and be like, hey, man, I'm leaving for a week. He said, what?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy because I was like, as soon as you told me, I was like, you got to tell your boss.
Yeah.
And I know that working a 9 to 5 and all that, you can't just take off.
No.
Like that. Hey, I'm going away for a week. So see you when I get back. That usually does not fly.
Yeah, ever.
I
was ready for my job to not be there when I come back.
And amazingly, it's still there.
Still there.
Because everything always works out in our favor.
It does, you know. Although, like, how long I'm gonna stay at this job, I'm not sure. You know.
Yeah,
yeah. I might still end up leaving the job sooner than I think. You know, but like, the fact is that I said, you know what? When's the next time that I'm gonna have this chance to go with my dad, and it's just me and my dad, to go to his grandparents' hometown, my great-grandparents' hometown, see it in a much different way, and go to the tomb.
What was it like being at the tomb? Like, did you feel anything? Were you... Because I think I would feel kind of maybe a little emotional, but also at the same time, like, kind of proud that I'm there.
Yeah.
In that moment.
I was just in the moment. at that time I was just taking it all in because we had to drive. It was just a small town. I wouldn't say small town, but in China, 1 million people is considered a small city.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
small
wild.
town.
Okay.
Like Shanghai is 3 times the size of like New York City. In terms of
Wow.
population. It's got 24 million people. That's just Shanghai.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is like a small town that's got 1 million. But we had to drive out, and there's these mountains out there. I was like, wow, it's a lot of nature. It's looking very beautiful. We get there, and my great-grandparents' tomb, it was on one of the hill. So we go up, and in Chinese traditions, is during this season, it's called Qingming. So it's specifically during the time of the year, around springtime, when you go pay your ancestors a visit at their tomb. You bring roast pork, you bring chicken, you bring rice wine,
Wow.
you light incense. So you give your offerings to your ancestors. You even bring fake money, paper money, and you burn it. So you burn all this money for them so they could use it in heaven. So they could play and like buy clothes, go to like Heaven Mall and like.
Oh, is
Yeah.
that why even cemeteries here, you'll see Chinese people come and it's almost like they're doing a picnic.
Yeah. They'll bring all this food.
Yeah.
All this food. They're dressed nicely, but they'll also have like paper money or even like paper shoes, paper things, like so they could burn it and then their ancestors could use it
Wow.
up in the sky. Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a cool tradition, and people do it every year. It's called Qingming, and the whole family will go. You get your food, and then you pour the rice wine. You light your incense to connect with the heavens, connect with the ancestors, and then you pray. And you say, "Hey, we're here with the family. Just to pay respect to you. Enjoy all this food. Enjoy all this money we're gonna give you. Please give us protection, give us guidance, and give us fortune." Usually, that's how it
Wow,
is. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So my family, we do this every year because my grandparents, they're buried upstate. But on my great grandparents' side, and a lot of them, they're also buried in China. So I never really get that chance to go out there to pay them a visit. So this time I did. The one major difference between doing it in the U.S. and doing it in China, this Qingming celebration, is in China you can light firecrackers.
Yeah, you can't do that here.
Yeah, here you can't, but like in China it's like. Pa, pa, pa.
When I was growing up, you could do that.
Yeah.
The time has passed.
Time
y'all.
has changed. Time has changed, guys, But yeah, we did all that.
Wow.
And I remember praying and I was asking my great-grandparents, I was like, thank you so much for protecting me and my family. Thank you for guiding us. I'm your great-grandson. I'm here for the first time to pay you guys a visit. I'm asking for guidance right now. I want to get some clarity in terms of the direction of where I want to go in my life. Any guidance, any help would be greatly appreciated. And I gave a couple of wishes that I have too. I want to do this. I want to have this in my career. This is my love life. But mainly, I want some guidance. So afterwards, I was going down the stairs and I was like, "Where's my dad?" And turns out my dad was he went to go pray at his uncle's. He went to his uncle's tomb too. So I was, let me go there too. So as I was walking up the stairs, a butterfly just whizzes past me, just flutters right by me, and oh wow! And for me, like when I think of butterflies and when I see butterflies, I always feel like there's an angel or an ancestor. I feel like it's like a divine symbol, and it's a sign. So I saw the butterfly.
That happened to me at a cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to visit my younger brothers. My brother Lewis, who was 1 year old when he passed away.
Wow.
I went to visit his headstone and whatever, and my grandmother too. They're buried in the same plot with an uncle that I never met, but they're there. And I remember going to the cemetery, and I hadn't been there in so long, and I went like during the pandemic. So I go and I'm just sitting there, and then all of a sudden, this big brown butterfly comes and lands right on top of the headstone.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was wild. I was like, yo, this is crazy. And I took that as a symbol, like a sign.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we're here.
Right.
Thanks for coming.
I feel like whenever I see that,
Yeah.
it's not like I see butterflies every time and I'm like, oh my God, butterflies. Like, but in those moments, I do get emotional. Because I feel like at that moment, I know how important this moment is with my loved ones on the other side. And when I see something like a butterfly, it's like, there's that confirmation.
Yeah.
Right there. So I got emotional a little bit. I wasn't crying, but I felt it. I felt it in my bones. And before, even when I was in China, I didn't see a single butterfly. It was when I was at that cemetery after I prayed, I saw that butterfly. And then there was just butterflies everywhere at the cemetery. I saw like 6 more butterflies just like
it's crazy,
floating around.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you could get to the cemetery and not see anything.
Yeah, and I didn't.
And the minute that you sit there and you're like, hey, can you show me a sign or whatever? Or, you know, I need guidance. But all of a sudden, there's like a bunch. You're like,
up.
What is happening?
Right. It was insane. And I was like, damn, I felt the goosebumps. And I was like, oh my God, they responded this quickly. And then I went and met up with my dad, prayed at his uncle's spot. Then we went to his grandparents on his mom's side, prayed some more. We finished the whole ritual. And then we go back to the car. I look at the clock. It's 11:11.
Of course, it was 11:11. Did you feel like the shift? Because you definitely went through a shift.
You feel it?
Yeah, you definitely went through a shift.
I did. I felt like I definitely went through a shift.
You went through a shift. You needed to go on that trip.
Yeah. I didn't know I needed it at that time.
No. Yeah. When you told me, I was like, yeah, something's going to go down.
I had a lot of downloads, I feel.
Something goes. And not only that, because a lot of us, and take note, because there's a lot of us that hold ourselves back instead of listening to our soul. Like, it's nudging us. Like, yo, we have to go in this direction right now. Like, and you're coming up with, I don't know. Should I go? Should I not? Because work, because this, because that. And your soul is like, no. We gotta go. Like, we forget that. We gotta go do this right now. And a lot of times people will talk themselves out of it. They won't do it. But you were like, I booked my trip. I don't care. I'm going. Because I did say, is your boss gonna be okay with this?
You did say that.
And he was like, I don't know. I already booked it. I'm going. And I was like, all right, guess you're going to China. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, but I feel like there's something to you also saying like, oh, maybe I should go or whatever. Like when you had that conversation.
Yeah. But it started off as just like casually, almost like a joke. Like, oh, wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be fun if I went with you on this trip, Dad? First time in his life, he wasn't like, oh, you got to focus on work. First time he was like, you actually serious about going?
See?
I never would think that he would say that.
Yeah, and you even said that. You were like, I thought my dad was like, but he was all chill about it. And I was just there like, yeah, it's meant for him to go on this trip.
It was dope. It was sick. It wasn't just like like going there, praying. It was awesome. I needed that part, but then everything after that was also sick. Because I hadn't been back in that city in Guangzhou in 7 years. It changed so much.
I kind of feel like you needed to be there. You needed to walk there. You needed to see things. You needed to feel things. Like it was the timing too. I don't think the shift would have, I'm not going to say that it would have never happened, but I don't think the shift, the way everything played out, probably wouldn't have been taking place as of yet had you not gone on that trip.
Yes. And it's so crazy that you say that because I felt that in myself where I was like, something has shifted in my timeline.
Yeah.
I knew it did. I don't know. I feel like certain things are accelerating faster than they are now.
Yeah.
Compared to the trajectory that I was going on. It was like, all right, you have the decision to make. You could go or not go. But if you go, you're going to start catapulting somewhere else much faster. And I felt that heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to come in. What people don't know is that I have a 9 to 5 again.
Yes. So
I wound up now too. Like, so Rob had an amazing trip.
I did. And I'm back.
It's funny though, because it's like since the beginning of the year, all these things have happened for you and I.
Like in our individual lives.
Yeah, like individually, guys. So just in case. But like everything happened with like, you know, the TikTok ban and whatever else. And we didn't know what was going to happen. And even though I didn't feel like it was going to completely go away, I knew there was going to be some changes made to it. But when that happened too, like this job just came to me.
Perfectly.
It's just like came. And that's why I always say like universe always takes care of us. Right? So the job just like came in, I interviewed, the band happens and whatever else. And then boom, hey, we want to offer you this job. And I took it.
When you were telling me about it, it just felt so seamless.
I feel like I was literally talking about that today. I was like, I just felt like it was like getting a brand new pair of shoes that are perfect. Like I just slip my feet in and they're comfortable and I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how quickly too, like it happened. Like I felt like I got this job quick and kind of easy.
Yeah.
Like it just, and that's how it is, right? It aligns.
That's how manifestation works. Those that are aligned with it,
yeah,
it will always come in very easy.
And it's kind of funny because like this is the type of job like I was manifesting like 20 years ago.
That's crazy.
And I forgot about it. And then it just came in, like I detached from it. And I don't think to myself like, oh damn, I should have had this 20 years ago. No, because I had to go through all the stuff that I went through to get to here. Everything I went through, I had to get to this moment now.
Right.
So I feel with my job, because my job is sending us to Nashville in May for work. And I was telling my coworker too, I said, something great is going to happen in Nashville. I don't know what it is.
I feel it too.
Something's going to happen. Something cool, something. And I can't wait. We're about a month away. Like
Right. That's crazy. It's only a month away.
Yeah.
Well, by the time this podcast episode is released, it'll be even sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
But the whole point is that you and I, we did our 13 wishes.
Yes.
And
yeah, we did.
Everything just started happening like immediately. I even got a part-time job before
you did, yeah.
I got this job with an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
A wonderful attorney, but it was only part-time. And then when everything was happening with my content creator stuff, this job came and I just went for it and I got it.
I think it just aligned so perfectly. Timing-wise, also this job just fits you so well.
Yeah.
Like the industry that it's in.
Yeah.
It's in the music industry, but also there's like finance involved and like there's a lot of really cool people there too.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a lot of really cool people that I can't mention on this podcast because I have to sign an NDA.
Right. Exactly, you know.
But you've definitely heard of these people.
Yeah.
And they're really great people and they're really talented. And some of them have been out for a very long time. So yeah, just blessings, you know.
On top of which, like, you were telling me about this newsletter that came out. Do you mind sharing that too?
Yeah, like at work when you're new, they have a newsletter. And when you're a new employee, they send you like a questionnaire, like questions for you to speak about yourself. And I was telling Rob, like, do I tell these people I'm a psychic medium?
Right.
Do I not tell them? And then I remember mentioning it to Jade, my daughter Jade, for those that don't know. And I mentioned it to her and she was like, well, why wouldn't you tell them? Like, you just have to be you. You remember,
Exactly.
And I was like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. So I went ahead and I mentioned it and I said how I wanted to be a radio host. And I've mentioned this before. I'm still going to do that before I die. It's going to happen. So I want to be like on a radio show at some point. Anyway.
iHeartRadio.
Something. Yeah, maybe iHeart. Maybe Gemini Soulcast. Take it to iHeart.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Or Sirius XM.
Yeah, or Sirius XM.
Yep.
So I basically like said all that in that, you know, and I spoke about it. And I was thinking to myself, like, who's really going to read this? And then one of my coworkers turns out to be like, wanted to be in radio, was one of those people, interned for like Elvis Duran on Z100. Like, he's been in radio. And he was like, yeah, I did this whole thing. And he goes, but I figured out for myself that that's not the road I wanted to go on. I said, well, I'm still here, so I'm going to see what happens. And he even said it like that I shouldn't give up on that.
Right.
Like, everybody tells me, like, you shouldn't give up on that, like, ever. And I spoke about that as well, how we shouldn't limit ourselves. I was telling my coworker this today, too. There's a lot of us that we limit ourselves and we're thinking, we focus so much on our age. We focus so much on like, well, if it hasn't happened, it's never going to happen.
Right.
If you're still here, I'm going to say it 100 times over. If you're still here, walking this earth, living and breathing, you have time.
Yeah.
You can still do it. Don't let anybody or society hold you back.
1000%.
Don't do it. Don't do it because you're doing
1000%.
yourself a disservice because your soul came here to do a lot of things.
Right. Right.
So why would you not? If it's in your mind and it's really poking at you, you're on the right track.
I think that's a great way to talk about what is meant for you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, they get lost and they get overwhelmed because they're like, oh, what am I meant to do in this earth? What is my purpose, right? But it's exactly what you say. Whatever is poking at you, whatever you're thinking about,
Yeah.
whatever you're obsessed with, or even at that moment, that is meant for you. So
Yeah.
you just follow through with that.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason why God or the universe planted this specific dream in you. And dreams could change, but maybe you have to go through a certain course in order for you to get to this point here now, to realize what that your mission is.
Think about it. How many people go to college and they're like, yeah, I'm going to be an accountant. Oh, yeah, I'm going to be a psychologist and blah, blah, blah. And you wind up in advertising or in entertainment. And you spend all this money taking all these classes and getting a degree. And you don't even use it. Doesn't that tell you something?
That was me. I study marketing and business. I'm in entertainment and media right now.
But doesn't that tell you something though? How you're figuring yourself out. And maybe at that time, that was a version of you that was like, yeah, I can do this. But as time goes on and you grow and you evolve, your soul is like, well, actually, nah, we're going in this direction now.
Yeah.
And you got to trust that.
It's more so like I feel like we're peeling off the layers of like an onion. Yeah. Where like the center of the onion is like that's the true soul, and throughout it we have to have all these layers. You think this is what you're meant to do. You think this is your job. Mm-hmm. As you do it, you start to pivot. But then as you're pivoting, as you're learning, you get closer to the truth of who you're supposed to be.
Right.
Which I think is an incredible thing to figure out. And I think everybody's going through that journey, no matter what. And it's not one-dimensional. It's not like my job is my purpose and that's my mission. You get multiple things. Your roles could change constantly. Yeah. Because that's you. That's you, you know? Yeah. So I think it's fun that, like, I think for both of us, we've had so much shifts already. Yeah. In 2025 alone.
I know. We're only up to month number 4, end of Q1.
It is in the Q1. It's crazy. I used to never use those terms. Now I'm in the work environment, in the business, I'm like Q1, Q2.
Just say
I'm like,
Q1. Yeah, I know. I'm like, and the Q1.
Yeah, like OKRs and, you know, I'm like, I don't do that stuff, you know. Like, but what for you? What would you say has been a big shift for you already in this year alone?
Oof. I'm gonna say probably detaching. In my love life, in like career stuff, certain fears that I used to get before, like I'm just like, nah, it's whatever. I just feel like I'm more chill now. Does that make sense? Like, that's sick. I'm not getting like all this anxiety. Yeah. I'm not like overthinking nothing. I'm just like, all right, well, that didn't work out. It's cool because the universe is going to bring something else better. It's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Like, that's where I'm at.
I love that.
Yeah. And I'm also like starting to focus more too, like on my health. You know what I mean? Like, and not for any particular reason because I get, you know, A's in all my testing, but I'm like my blood work and all that. But I just feel like it's part of who I'm becoming and which direction I'm going. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, let me start being a little healthier now. You know, I don't know. I'm just listening to my soul, and my soul is like, let's be a little healthier. Let's start doing a little, you know, more self-care, more this. Not that I don't do it, but I feel like I need to do more of it.
It's more so prioritizing it a little bit more. Yeah.
So that's where my mind is at.
You're listening to those nudges.
Yeah.
The whispers.
Yeah, and I feel like that's part of the big shifts. Because, you know, when they say like in manifestation that you have to become who you envision yourself to be. Right. the way that you're saying, like, I feel like things are happening quick. I feel like things are happening quick for me too, but in that way, like I'm starting to embody who I want to be.
Right.
You know, but I actually feel it. So I'm just like, oh, I guess this is the road we're going down.
Right. Which I think is amazing, though. It's embracing
Yes.
the person that you're meant to be.
Yes. So same things, like we're shifting into another timeline now.
Yeah. I felt that. Honestly, I felt that when I went to China. When I went to China, then I ended up going to Hong Kong. At that point, my dad was traveling with my mom, and so I stayed in Hong Kong for 3 days, solo traveling. And it was during that I always feel like when you travel or when you leave your normal environment, you automatically will have a shift.
Yeah.
Because you're in a different environment. You're not in your normal schedule, your normal routine. It allows a shift to seamlessly come in. And for me, I definitely had to shift when I was there.
Yeah. You know what's interesting that you say that? Because I know certain people, like I have certain friends too, that will go away and all they're thinking about is coming back.
Really?
Or they'll be there a few days and they're like, oh, I'm ready to go home. I'm always like, I don't want to go home.
No, yeah, I'm like that too.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like what you're saying, like, oh yeah, we go through that and you feel like a shift. I think it makes certain people uncomfortable.
Because they don't want to confront or they don't want to accept and embrace this new shift that's taking place.
Right.
They're so used to what they know.
Right.
And they want to stick to that because
Right.
it's comfortable.
Right. And we can't grow like that.
No. That's how you keep repeating the same patterns and karmic cycles.
Right.
Again and again. No, you have to, if you want to shift, you have to confront it head on. I think it's awesome. I think it's a beautiful thing.
I love it.
You learn so much.
I always surrender to change. Like, sometimes I don't want to go through change, but I'm always like, all right, I guess I got to go through it. But I don't fight it as much either. Like, I usually just surrender. Like, sorry.
But I do think you have to surrender to it. Whether it's surrendering to the moment, surrendering to your thoughts, surrendering to inspiration, or just surrendering to holding up this wall. You could drop it sometimes and just allow things to kind of just naturally take its course.
Yeah, and that's what brings you your peace.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
When you try to control everything, when you try to have a certain expectation, or when all you're focused on is that end destination instead of like being in the moment, you're going to feel very unhappy and it's going to be always this tension. And I felt that even throughout this year of like, oh, I want certain things to happen at a certain time. And when it doesn't, I get anxious. I get stressed. And I'm like, why hasn't this happened yet? But I have to remind myself that a delay is not a denial and that things are going to happen the way they should. So I have to just embrace what I have right now.
Yeah, because that anxiety is coming from fear because you're thinking it's not going to show up.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
Right.
And when you finally like, you know what? And you surrender and you're like, all right, whatever, you know, you're trusting.
You know what time is it right now? And we're doing our usual affirmations of the day.
We're going to let Rob pick.
Oh, okay. The affirmation of the day is, I balance my masculine and feminine sides.
Oh, very important.
The masculine and feminine parts of me are in perfect balance and harmony. I am at peace, and all is well.
Ooh, yep.
I think when we think about like masculine and feminine energy, there is divine masculine energy and divine feminine energy. The masculine energy kind of has that like protective feel to it, and is also like, I'm gonna go after what I want and reach for it. I feel like with divine feminine energy is a lot about, I trust that things will come to me.
Ooh, yes.
And in the conversations that we're having about trust,
yes,
and also about manifesting what we want,
yes,
is that balance.
Yeah.
Of like, I'm gonna aim for what I want to get, but I'm also trusting that it's going to happen.
Yep.
Which
trust.
is a perfect balance of divine masculine and feminine energy.
Yep. So which one are you?
Ooh.
Ooh, something to think about.
Hey. Anyways, folks, back to the episode.
Anxiety that you get is like you're not trusting.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So when you surrender, it's like you're accepting of it. You let your guard down.
Right. And when you surrender and when you trust, you are trusting in the universe, you're trusting in God, the divine timing of things. Ultimately, you're also trusting in yourself.
Yeah, which is important.
Yeah. because you know that like you could be in a more relaxed state.
Yeah.
When you have that anxiety, it's almost like you don't trust yourself. It's like I'm about to go give a speech in front of 1,000 people. That anxiety there's a little bit of that fear that's like, oh, what if I bomb it? Right? Like,
Yes.
and it's almost like that same thing of like, if I'm waiting in this situation, I feel the anxiety. I know I want to get to this point, but I'm here right now. Is that ever gonna happen? Or I want to find love, but I can't right now. Is that ever gonna happen? That's that little bit of that fear of being like, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I need a XYZ. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe it'll never happen, right? But the moment we surrender all those thoughts, everything.
Yeah.
So then we're like, it allows you not just peace and clarity, but it gives you strength, I feel.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Yep.
So I still don't know what's going to happen, to be honest, in the future. But I have to be able to like just loosen up a little bit more into that. You know?
Yeah. I feel like there's some good stuff coming. And I think we're just getting ready.
Yeah.
To like really receive that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think there's a lot of growth happening.
Right.
Whew. Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, like I was one too, like at one point, like I'm like, I'm used to this. I don't want to go through that.
Do you want to expand on that
You know
a little bit more?
I'm just saying, like, it would change. Like, I don't want change, you know, with stuff like in relationships and all that. Like, that comes up because that's big. Like, sometimes that's probably the only thing that I'd be like, oh, I don't want to go through this.
Honestly, me too.
I don't want to go through that change. Like, I don't want to, like, not be with this person or whatever. Like, I don't want to, like, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of get into your head or, man, I don't want to talk to them about this because, you know, then we got to argue about it. Yeah. Like, it's just, these thoughts come into your head and you're just there like, man. But then most times, you know, if you're lucky too, when you have somebody that that actually listens to you and gives you the space and you have like really good communication, there's no reason to like be in that mindset.
I agree. And that's you trusting in the relationship. Yeah. The dynamic that you both have, respecting them and respecting yourself.
Right.
That whatever happens, things are going to work out for both.
Yeah.
And it's going to be good. Yeah. Even if it could be uncomfortable at that moment. I also don't think it's only related to like romantic relationships. I think that could be friendships, family, like anybody. Like I do think that for me, like in regards to what you're saying in terms of relationships, I feel like my friendship dynamic is changing.
Yes, I feel that.
You know, and it's like maybe I was really close to them at a certain point in the past and it served its purpose.
Yes.
Back then. And now that it served its purpose, we're not as close as we used to be. Doesn't mean that I don't value that friendship, or does it mean that like we can't stay committed as friends? May not necessarily be that way. Sometimes we just grow out. Yeah. We phase out because our soul contract has done its purpose at this chapter of our lives at that time for me and for that person. And now if it's going to end, it's going to end. And I think for me, it's about accepting that and knowing that that is okay. That is okay that in your 30s, you could be making new friends. That it's okay that in your 50s, you could find new love. That it's okay that in your 70s, you could reconcile with family. Like, yes, that's what you're saying even early back then about don't matter what age it is. No. No matter what time it is. Like,
doesn't matter.
Yeah. That's the same thing too with like soul contracts, I feel too. And I think everybody has a soul contract. And I'm reading a book on that too called Soul Contracts. Oh. By Caroline Myss.
Yeah. Caroline Myss.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool book. Very cool book.
It's interesting you say that too, because when I think of my dad, who passed away 2022, and he didn't speak to his brother for quite some time. Like, I'm talking about years.
Damn.
And then when my dad was basically on his deathbed, his brother wanted to talk to him. And my dad was still like, I don't want to see him. And I was like, you know, and I had to tell my dad, I said, listen, Pop, I understand. Love you, Pop. But I said, listen, Pop, I understand. But, you know, if things go left here, that's it. So my dad said, I'll think about it. That was the last conversation I had with my dad. That was part of that last conversation. So we had that conversation, right? Boom. And he carried a lot of like, regret as far as decisions he made, when he was in Vietnam War. Like that was other stuff that he carried. But one other thing was the last person he was with, he was like in love with her and she passed away. Oh, wow. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but she passed away from cancer and she was 37 at the time. And my dad was like in his 50s, I want to say. And when she passed away, my dad like went through it, the heartache, and my dad went through it. And then he never got with anyone else.
Wow.
He never had another girlfriend. Nope. He was like, that's it. Like, he didn't want to be with anybody else. And my dad went until 76. Never had a girlfriend again since, like, his 50s.
Wow.
And, and I get it. Like, we have people and lovers that have, like, a big impact on us. Like, I'm going through that right now. And to me, it's like, and I've thought that before, like, well, if this doesn't work, F this because I'm tired.
Right.
And then I was like, well, you sounding like your father right now.
Yeah.
Then I was like, I don't think we're going to do that. I think we got to change that.
Yeah.
We got to change that story.
Right. It's not an end all be all type of thing.
Yeah,
you
but
can always change things. Make it better, yeah.
So, and it's not to say like my dad probably dated and, he probably did his thing, He's still a man, but he never had a serious girlfriend that he lived with or that he fell in love with after her.
Wow.
And then I asked my dad one time over brunch the year before he passed. It's like 2021. I took him to lunch. I used to take him to lunch a lot. I picked him up, we would go to lunch. And then I put up a video of this where I asked him like if there was anything that he regretted. And then he said the drinking.
Yeah.
And I think I've mentioned this before, but he said it affected because he lost a lot of people around him. And he was talking about my mom. And it always went back to my mom too. So I feel like he really like had this thing with my mom. Like he really loved my mom, but he went through it. And it's different versions of us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
We're meant to meet certain people at that time, even if it's not perfect. And we could always think, oh, but I wish I did this. If I knew this back then, I would have changed this. But that's not how life works.
Yeah.
You may have met a certain person when you were broken and when you were not, quote unquote, ready to receive that person. But even though that happened, you were meant to be that person when you weren't fully healed yet.
Yeah.
Because you had to go through that with that person.
Yeah.
To learn.
Yeah. And you can go through like what I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Where you can be the best version of yourself and they're at their worst and then you flip.
Yeah.
Now they're at the best and you're at your worst.
Right.
And it's like, what the hell? But you kind of have to learn from that.
I think heartbreak and heartache is one of our greatest life lessons. It really transforms somebody when you go through heartache, when you go through heartbreak.
Yeah.
Even for myself, like when I went through heartbreak 2 years ago, I've been in longer relationships than that, but this one particular relationship hit me in a way that I never experienced before. It took me out. You see me.
I know.
I was in Heartbreak Hotel, and I was like living in a Heartbreak Hotel for a while.
It's hard.
It's tough, and at that time when I was in that relationship, I was nowhere close to where I am now. I was still drinking. I was still smoking weed. I had a bad relationship with my family. Like, I wasn't fully confident and secure in myself. There's just so many things that, like, if I could go back in time, maybe I would have changed this. But had I not gone through it in this way, I wouldn't have realized all these things about myself and about the other person too, what they were going through, right?
Yeah.
So hindsight's 2020, and you kind of learn from that experience. And had it not been for all that, I don't think I'll be like meditating every day. I might still be smoking weed at this very moment as we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
There'll be certain people that I probably still will be chatting with, or that I
Yeah.
don't talk to anymore, right?
Yeah.
I might not even be around,
Yeah.
you know?
It's interesting too, because even now when I go out with my friends, and I do have, my same friends and whatever else, but what they want to do at times, I don't want to do. Like, even, and that includes drinking.
Right,
Like
right.
sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to drink.
Yeah.
I don't need to, you know. I went to a dinner last week. I didn't even realize they purchased like a package where you do unlimited drinking. And I'm like, oh man, like, and I still kept it. I think I drank like 3.
You're
but
like, woo!
but I
let's
always
go!
but I always cut myself off at 3 anyway, or I don't care if I have one. Like I'll sit there and babysit a drink. I got no problem.
Right.
One drink. But there's times now too, like that I go out and I'm just like, no, I just want water. Like I just don't want to drink.
Yeah. And to each their own. Like, I do feel like if
Yeah.
certain people, they just gravitate towards that and that's what they like, okay, cool. That's fine. But if you realize for yourself that that's not the type of person that you want to become, then you're going to have to take out certain things in your life, whether that is substance, whether that is certain negative habits or negative thought patterns, friendships and relationships that don't serve you anymore. Because if you're trying to get to the highest version of yourself, you have to sacrifice those old versions of you.
Yep.
And this is the year of the snake. So you got to shed off that old skin
Yep.
in order to grow into the new version of who you're
Yeah.
meant to become.
Yeah. And I feel like, and that's what I was talking about too, like going back to like my health and whatever else, like I need to be more focused. I need my brain to be a little bit more sharper.
Yeah.
I need to remember certain things because there's a lot of things I'm trying to accomplish. And my body's like, all right, so this is what we're doing.
Right. Your body, you are communicating with your body saying, oh, I want to remember things. I want to be sharp. And your body's like, okay, you want to be sharp? Work on this.
Yeah. We're not drinking the way we used to.
Right. And we're going to get rest.
And you're going to get those 10,000 steps in. Yes, you are.
That's why you got that little...
So I got a treadmill.
It's nice.
You know what I'm saying? Like, got a treadmill because I was like, I got to hit my 10K.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to be sitting in front of a TV, I might as well be doing something, right?
Yeah.
Exercising. My body's like, let's go. So I've been doing that.
That's
and
nice.
I'm just going to keep doing it.
Keep going. Movement will create more movement.
Yeah.
That's energy right there. That's you're investing in your health. Your health is your biggest wealth. Even if you have all the money in the world, if you don't have good health, you can't even enjoy it fully.
Yeah.
So you gotta have that. Should always be number one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just always have good health, and you don't have to like go to the gym 5 times a week, but move a little bit.
Gotta move
eat
your
healthy.
body.
You have to. You want to see any change. You want to see change in your physical environment. Move your body. And how I see it is like, God gave us all bodies, right? And if you have an able body, if all 4 limbs are working, your heart's pounding, you're pumping, and your lungs you're able to breathe well, there's no crazy problems that you have, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
And because it's a blessing, you got to use it.
Yeah.
Your body, to be able to travel, to be able to walk, like these are blessings that we have here. It's a privilege to have that. So it's just as important to maintain it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you take your body for granted and then you lose it.
You know what's interesting too? Like, and before we cut this end our episode, I just wanted to mention how there's a lot of people right now too turning to like God, or like getting baptized, or like doing all that, right?
Or like going into astrology.
Yeah,
like
it's very interesting.
faith.
It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
And lately, like the last couple of nights, I go on TikTok, sometimes like to wind down, I'll just watch a couple of videos before I shut it off. And then I put on like my sleep tracks for meditation and all that. And I'm like watching these videos, and there's a particular girl that like I was watching her video where she went into the Sea of Galilee where Jesus spent a lot of his time, and she made content on this.
Oh.
And I was like, yo, and then somebody else was like, oh yeah, like they were trying to walk where Jesus walked. And I have always wanted to go to Jerusalem.
Oh, wow.
I've always wanted to go to Jerusalem because of Jesus, because that's my guy. And I've always wanted to go because I just have this, I'm still very enamored, I want to say. What's the word? Where he's there's just something about him. Like I'm still very much like into him. Like so when people talk about his stories and stuff like that, like I'm just like mesmerized. Like I don't know what it is, my connection, but I love it.
I love that.
I love it. But I've always felt like I need to go to Jerusalem at some point. And I know sometimes it's a little dangerous and whatever else. Like, I don't know, like you hear stuff. Maybe it's not. But
So one way to find out. You gotta go.
but I think at some point I may want to go do that.
I think you should.
Might want to go over
I
there.
think you definitely should. I think like, cause especially in those places like that,
Yeah.
that's like a holy spiritual place.
Yeah.
It's like there's energy in there
Yeah.
that like you're not gonna get that same energy in just anywhere.
No.
So I'm sure with you going there, that will bring a whole new vibe for you
Yeah.
in a way that you probably haven't experienced previously.
Yeah.
So I do think it's worth checking out
Yeah.
just for yourself, just to see it.
That girl too, she went to like the Jordan River, I think it is,
Mm-hmm.
where he baptized. I forgot who it was that he baptized in there.
John the Baptist.
Maybe.
John the
I
Baptist who
forgot.
baptized Jesus.
Yes.
It was in that river, yeah.
It was
The
in,
Jordan
the,
River,
in the
right?
Jordan River. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So she made a video of that, but she went into that and she said,
She
I
dunked your head?
baptized myself.
Wow.
And I'm seeing these videos and I'm all like, dang, I think I'm supposed to go to Jerusalem at some point because I felt it from years ago that I just want to go.
Wow.
So I don't know. Might do that.
Oh, listen to the whispers.
We'll see.
You never
Maybe
know.
Rob will wind up going with me.
I mean,
We're gonna vlog. We're gonna vlog.
we have this little inside joke where I remember I started vlogging. And I was like, yeah, I'm vlogging now. And she's like, yo, what is this called? What are you doing right now? This vlog? I was like, it's called a vlog, girl. What are you, boomer? But after that, I started adopting it to as a vlog.
Generation X, yo.
We love it. We love it. I support my fellow
Anyway.
Xers, Generation X. You know?
Anyway, but we'll see what happens. But that's what happened with us. Q1.
Q1's been a lot has happened in Q1, and I think there's gonna be even more stuff happening in April, May, and June.
Yeah.
I mean, for both of us, it'll be our birthdays in like 2 months.
Oh,
So-
what are we doing for our birthday?
I
We
don't
gotta
know.
do something this year.
Yeah, cause
This year we gotta do something so we could vlog.
we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we're gonna go to Jerusalem for that. Or go to Jordan, dunk our heads for our birthday.
Yeah.
You
Maybe
never
next
know.
year. Maybe next
You
year.
really never know. Look, I didn't
We'll
expect
see.
to go to China this year.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to go to Miami. Oh, I went to Miami in January.
Yeah.
You know, for a commercial shoot. I didn't expect to be traveling there,
Yeah.
but I did.
Yeah. Nashville wasn't on my bucket list, and here we are.
Yeah.
I'm going.
It's just like the universe will naturally.
Bring us places.
Yeah, it's like all you have to do is just take out your sail and see where the wind takes you.
Just surrender and be open
Yeah.
to receive.
There's a lot, you know.
There's a lot.
And you will be hearing a lot from us too, because now that we have season 2, we're gonna have more exciting guests that are gonna be
Yes,
coming
we
on.
are.
I'm excited about that. And we'll have a lot more conversations as well. And feel free to write down in the comments what are some things you want us to talk about. What are some things that you want to hear from us? Definitely ask us any questions, whether it's about us or about spirituality, manifestation, anything.
Anything.
We read all the comments.
We do read them.
So,
Thank you guys so much for supporting too, by the way.
yes, we love you guys. And yes, and be on the lookout for some events that we have coming out.
In-person events in New York City.
The best of the best. So, pull up. We'll keep you guys posted on all that. But in the meantime, thank you for tuning in. My name is Rob.
My name is Sin.
And this is Gemini Soulcast.
My hair looks good.
Looks great.
Goofy.
Nah, I think you learned your lesson from season 1.
It wasn't my fault. I love your interpretation. That was cute.
Thank you.